Today's video is brought to you by Adept Roll. Hey everyone, Cadian Sergeant Steele here, and today we're going over another one of my favorite units, and that's the Armoured Sentinels. So, very excited to be talking about this unit today. I think it's one of the staples of the Astra Militarum, and really one of the greatest kits we have out there. But right off the bat, let's talk about something real quick. If you do pick up the Scout and Armoured Sentinel kit, just remember, these tops, which basically are the most defining feature of what's the difference between an Armored and Scout Sentinel, do not need glued on. They pop on and off, and they stay in place. See, look at that. They don't fall off or anything. They're actually built to fit into the roll cage. So you do not need to glue those on, and this way you can quickly swap between Armored and Scout Sentinels. Same with all the weapons. They're technically friction fit, right? I did magnetize mine just for the sake of it, using 2mm and 1.5mm magnets in order to get those in place, because I didn't want to chip my paint, and that was just a personal choice that I had made. So without further ado, let's talk about the unit. As always, we start with the stat line. This unit has movement 8, toughness 8, 2-up save, 7 wounds, leadership 7, and 2 OC. This is a really, really tough unit. Now, there have been some changes with the 10th edition codex, and that is this unit is now a composition of 1 to 2 models. It used to be 1 to 3. They've brought it down to 1 to 2, and I think that is to help tone this unit down a little bit, because it is a very resilient unit. So if you think about this, this is 14 wounds potentially with a 2-up save at toughness 8. That is really strong, and especially for what we get out of this. This is not our most powerful shooting unit or anything like that, but it is a good harassing unit with a moderate kind of punch power, with its shooting attacks. So it's not something to count out, and being so resilient does make it really strong, and so I'm glad they've kind of brought it down to 1 to 2 units. And so apologies to any of those out there who bought 9 of each, Scout and Armored. Maybe I'll buy a few off of you. I only have 6 myself. So, but anyhow, so it's got a really great unit profile. And I think that's what makes this unit so attractive and why so many people like it. Let's talk about its weapons and its war gear. So it has the autocannon. It has a plasma cannon. It's got a heavy flamer. It's got a las cannon, it's got a multi-laser, it's got a missile launcher, it's got a chainsaw, the Sentinel chainsaw, and it's got a hunter-killer missile. So that's all of its war gear options that it has available. And each of these plays a different role. If you've already seen my Scout Sentinel video, I go into detail about each of these weapons profiles, but I'm not going to rehash that here, but I will talk about some of the key ones that I think are best on the Armored Sentinel later in the video. So each of these weapons does serve a different function, whether you're trying to take down big, giant, heavy monsters, killing elites, killing chaff infantry, but except for one thing in particular, and that's the missile launcher. This missile launcher is actually very diverse. It can do damage to both like high toughness units as well as killing light infantry. So because it has 2 different shooting profiles, and this is the most versatile of the weapons. So if you ever have any doubt, you can always go with missile launchers. For me, I almost never take the missile launchers because I don't have any doubts. I know exactly the role that I want my Sentinels to play in my army when I'm list building. And now I want to tell you about today's video sponsor, Adept Roll. Adept Roll is a free all-in-one MathHammer app in iOS and Android. It's simple to use, letting you quickly run MathHammer simulations for any Warhammer 40k unit. You can import profiles directly to Battlescribe, update weapon stats to match your units, load an opponent, and run detailed simulations in seconds. For example, here I've imported the new artillery team unit and updating its weapon profile to match all the special rules that it has. With one tap, Adept Roll calculates everything and provides a range of detailed stats to help you find the most effective combinations for your army, and in this instance, it's to kill the Legionnaires. With Adept Roll, you will have the insights to make tactical decisions and bring victory to your battles. So what are you waiting for? Check out the links below and get it on your iOS or your Android phone today to make sure that you're using the right weapons on the right units to take out the right opponents to win the victory for the Imperium. let's talk about what makes this unit special. Its ability. So it does have Deadly Demise 1, so when it blows up, it does 1 mortal wound. But then its unique ability is called Mobile Hunter Killers. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack that targets a monster or vehicle unit, you can re-roll the wound roll. So re-roll the wound roll. That's not ones, that's the wound roll overall, which is really, really good. So the role I like to play with this unit then is my kind of little hunter unit that's moving around, picking off those kind of medium or high strength targets. Maybe ones that are, I need las cannons to take down, and I've shot at it with other units, but haven't taken it down yet. And then this unit will step in, come around a corner, and then finish it off with whatever weapons I've equipped it with. The rerolling the wound roll is really good for that. It's really good because when we think about the weapons we would often take on this that are not the las cannon, right? Las cannons are strength 12. They don't need a whole lot of help wounding. It's nice to get guaranteed with that, but they don't need a whole lot of help. They're typically already pretty good at it. And they usually, have trouble hitting more than wounding. So it's not the las cannons that need that. So what weapons need re-roll the wound roll against monsters and vehicles? Well, that is the two I'm showing you here, and that is the plasma cannon and the auto cannon. My personal preference is the auto cannon. The auto cannon is strength 9, -1 AP, 3 damage. The plasma cannon, if you use its overcharged profile, which makes it hazardous and you have a chance at mortal wounds, is going to be strength 8, -2 AP, 2 damage. It's strength 8, -3 AP, 2 damage. So really, really good AP, 2 damage. The autocannon has -1 AP, but 3 damage. So it depends on what you're looking to do here, what units you're wanting to take out. Say you're taking out elite infantry, then the plasma cannon is phenomenal, especially because it gets D3 shots. So it's a little iffy on the number of shots, right? It's like, do I get 1? Do I get 3? Or am I going to average out at 2? Versus the auto cannon, which gets 2 shots, hits on 4s, right? Not counting any buffs, hits on 4s. And then I'm going to, at strength 9, I'm going to wound everything on 5s, if not 4s and 3s, right? But monsters and vehicles, I'm probably wounding on 5s or 4s. But then rerolling the wound roll, I'm fishing for those 5s and 6s if it is a high toughness target. What's nice about that is also those kind of higher, those bigger, tougher units often have invulnerable saves. And so my AP may not matter as much, the -1 AP, but it's still enough. And then with the 3 damage, so when my opponent does fail, this is going to do more damage. So my preference is the auto cannons over the plasma cannons, but the plasma cannons are also just as good. Now don't forget, this applies to all of your ranged weapons, so it's also the hunter killer missiles, but they're strength 14. They don't typically struggle to wound, but on the event you roll a 1 or 2, it is nice to have that reroll, because normally your issue is going to be with the hunter killer missiles is hitting it all. So speaking of hitting, that's the other thing that's core to making this unit work really well, is the take aim order to give it +1 to its ballistic skill on its weapons. So this unit has both the squadron and regiment keywords. So that allows this unit to receive orders from both infantry officers and tank commanders. So it's very versatile in terms of who can support this unit. Really great. Love that. So you give this unit take aim, and now it's hitting on 3s. If you have scout sentinels with daring recon, you may be able to reroll your 1s. So now this unit is rerolling 1s, hitting on 3s, and rerolling all wound rolls. This is your unit to guarantee those few wounds that you may need to get onto a target to take it down. That's another reason why I really like the autocannons. Put you at greater risk of maybe your opponent making their armor saves, but every one failed is going to do more damage. I really, really like that. It also has just slightly higher strength, which can help out at times. With the strength 8 on the plasma cannons, that's going to guarantee it's wounding all vehicles, pretty much on a 5 or higher. Whereas the autocannon, maybe with the light transports and stuff, it could wound on a 4 and then re-roll those. So, right, it's a little give and take. I am liking that about 10th edition, where I think each weapon finally has a unique role in the game. And they've done really well with that. So what do I typically do with this unit? Most of its weapons are 48-inch range. So we can really reach across the table and touch almost anything it can draw a line of sight to. Range is not an issue, so I don't normally put this unit right at the front line unless I want to use this unit to screen out against enemy units, right? If I don't want my enemy units to get to something behind it, it's a very resilient unit and it can screen. But it's better at shooting. So I want to try to keep it freed up as much as I can so it can shoot. I will charge it in on a desperate charge if need be, but I'm going to keep it freed up to shoot. So I'm normally actually going to deploy it a little bit behind my deployment zone line. With 8 inches of movement, it's going to move decently well to be able to get in a position to shoot the enemy units. It can also receive the order move, 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 which will allow it to move 11 inches in a single turn. And I've done that before in order to get in a position, the extra little 3 inches, get around a corner, right? And get those key shots in and take out an enemy unit. Really love being able to do that. But I'll keep it back a little bit. I'll maneuver it into lanes of fire and I'll start whittling away at whatever it is that this unit is going to prioritize, whether that's vehicles or monsters. That's normally what I have to go after. Sometimes I will have to go after units such as Terminators. It's not as effective because it doesn't get its reroll the wound roll. But at strength 9, for example, in the autocannons, you're wounding the Terminators on 3s anyways. So you don't need the rerolls against a unit like that. You're mostly worried about hitting in the first place. And same with your AP. The AP -1 on the autocannons, normally your opponent, like on Terminators, are going to have a 4-up invuln save anyways. So therefore, the plasma cannon's AP is a little bit overkill at AP -3. Sure, it gets past cover, but the autocannon is going, if they're out in the open, then you're going to make sure that they're saving on a 3-up. And every single one of these through from an autocannon against a Terminator is going to outright kill it. Right? Outright kill that unit. That's what's great about that flat 3 damage. The other thing that I will commonly do with this unit is I will use it not only as a screen, but I also use it to tie something up. If I do not want my opponent to be able to move a unit into a position, I will charge a unit like this into it if I don't believe my opponent's unit can kill this unit. And this is a vehicle, so it can shoot out of combat. So I could still hit on 5s, maybe 4s if I give it take aim. And that's not terrible. But my opponent, say if they're not a vehicle, or if they are a vehicle, they can't fall back and shoot. If they're not a vehicle, they can't fall back and usually do much of anything. So I will actually kind of take that other unit out of the game for a few turns, which really matters. I mean, if your opponent is stuck in combat with you and they can't get out, or if getting out and they can't do anything, and then you'll wipe them out with something else nearby, you've essentially, even without killing the unit, have taken them out of the game. And this unit can do really well against that with T8 and a 2-up save and 7 wounds per model, right? So it's a lot of resiliency. And you can just tuck this unit into there and still give them orders and let them shoot stuff up. This is also one of those units where if you're taking the combined arms detachment with the reinforcement stratagem, I would probably spend the 2 command points to resurrect. Scout Sentinels are more worth it because of their universal rerolling 1 ability. But this unit is also a really good choice. I also commonly use that on my big blobs of infantry, but I get that as a playstyle that I prefer and not everybody does. So the next best candidate is your Armored Sentinels or your Scout Sentinels in particular. So overall, I think this is a very effective unit. It can be a unit that can be aggressive because it's so resilient, but I wouldn't put it on my front line. I'd leave it back a little bit and then rush it in to where it needs to go, shooting and blasting away at anything in its path in order to keep the battlefield freed up for your infantry to take control of any of those key objectives that they may need. This unit really excels at the vehicles and monsters and taking them down, so I highly recommend trying to focus in on that as well, and buffing it with things like orders with take aim and during recon rerolling 1s. That is overall the best strategy for running your Armored Sentinels. Now, the individual tactics, like I mentioned, like tying up other units or doing other cheeky things with this, that's up to you, and it depends on the games that you are playing. But I want to make sure you're thinking open-mindedly about using your units in maybe creative ways. Sure, this may be a shooting unit, but it can serve other roles in each game, in each of the different matchups that you play. And always keep that in mind to help be safe and effective with your units. And by safe, I mean keeping those boots on the ground alive. So just try it out and see what you think. All right, that's it. That's all I have for you today. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have enjoyed, please like and subscribe. I know only about half of you are subscribers, so I'd appreciate it if you enjoy the content to follow the channel and get more of this. There'll be lots coming with the new codex and plenty of battle reports and other content to come as well. I'm very excited for what the year has in store for Sergeant Steele and my wonderful Cadian and Krieg armies. So if you want to support me, you can do that several different ways, either liking and subscribing, or you could go down to the links below and use my affiliate links, which do have a little bit of kickback, a little bit of benefit to me. My favorite thing is the squad mark movement trays, the clear movement trays. I literally use in every single game I play. You all see me use them at conventions and my battle reports. They're always there on the table, and they're my favorite hobby tool when playing the Guard. You can also become a channel member, which allows you to get into the Discord and chat with us in there. We're having a great time talking about the new codex, sharing photos of our models, painting tips, and much, much more. So it's a good time in the Discord, and we're just getting started, so you could be part of that early community as well through the YouTube membership, and that's the way you can gain access there. So, as always, have fun wargaming, and remember, Cadius stands.